At the start of a typical shift, a supervisor stands before the team, reading a long list of rules, incidents, and reminders. Packing a morning briefing with 15 different topics creates cognitive overload. Because the human brain can only hold a limited amount of information in its working memory, employees begin to tune out after the first few announcements. As this graphic illustrates, the supervisor might use a catch-all instruction like "stay alert." But stay alert isn't an observable action. One employee watches the crowd, another checks the equipment, and a third just watches the clock. Combining too many topics with vague instructions makes it difficult for employees to identify the priority, making it more likely that critical safety behaviors are forgotten before the shift begins. After covering every item on the checklist, a supervisor often leaves the meeting room believing they have successfully addressed the day's risks. However, passive listening in a meeting room rarely translates to active habit changes once an employee is under pressure on the floor. These long, comprehensive meetings create a sense of security for the manager, while the actual behavior of the team remains unchanged. Addressing cognitive overload requires shrinking the pre-shift meeting to exactly 5 minutes. This 5-minute limit acts as a strict operational constraint. It forces leadership to filter out distractions and focus only on the most essential information for the upcoming shift. To maintain this focus, supervisors follow the 1-1-1-1 rule. Every huddle covers one risk, one behavior, one interaction, and one follow-up. By narrowing the scope of the training, you increase the chances that employees will actually remember and perform the required behavior. Supervisors execute this 5-minute huddle using a tactical framework called SAFER. The first step is to select one risk. The supervisor chooses the single most relevant threat for that specific day, such as high heat or a crowded queue. Next, they ask an engaging question. This replaces the traditional lecture with a conversation. Posing a scenario-based question puts employees in the role of active problem solvers before they ever step out onto the pool deck. Step 3 is to focus on one observable behavior. This means replacing general reminders with physical actions that a supervisor can see or hear. To verify if a behavior is specific enough, we use the camera test. If you tell an employee to be careful, the camera test fails. You cannot record a state of mind on a security camera. However, drink water during every rotation or check the landing zone are physical actions. These can be observed and verified. In the explain step, the supervisor details the response to unsafe conditions. Employees learn exactly what to notice, what immediate action to take, and when to halt operations. Preparing for real-world pressure means giving an employee a concrete physical protocol they can rely on when the situation becomes uncertain. The impact of a 5-minute huddle is realized after the meeting ends. The final step is to reinforce. The supervisor must move onto the floor and actively look for the specific behavior discussed in the huddle. Focusing the meeting on a single behavior gives the supervisor a clear metric to observe. This allows for immediate, specific coaching during the shift. Without this follow-up, employees often conclude that the safety focus was just a formality rather than a requirement of the job. Using a 5-minute constraint changes the objective of the pre-shift meeting. The goal is no longer to deliver a comprehensive lecture on every possible safety rule. Instead, the method is built on a specific structure. One risk, one conversation, one observable behavior, one follow-up. These huddles matter because they prioritize one critical action an employee can perform today. Narrowing the focus increases the likelihood of a safe operation.